How much distortion is too much? I think this is a question that we will probably go over and over and over again because it's hard to understand, and every time that we get asked it in one form or another, we'll try and attack it from a different angle so that we can make some sort of headroom. And this time the question comes from Pedro in Portugal, in the Azores. Sounds kind of romantic and picturesque, does it not? Paul, I have a question about THD, total harmonic distortion. I've seen amps with as low as 0.0004% THD, but usually they're around 0.01 or 0.1, a tenth or a hundredth of a percent. My question is, what role does THD play when it comes to high-end audio and audio in general? I can certainly hear 10% THD, but can I hear 1% or 0.1% or even 0.01%? That doesn't seem to make much of a difference, and I'm curious on how much of the amplifier's THD would be noticed over the speakers, as it usually has much higher THD, meaning the speaker normally has much higher THD. Yes, oh good grief. Speakers have, I don't want to mess up production here. Speakers have a lot of distortion relative, a magnitude more distortion than any amplifier that I can imagine. And let's start again with what is total harmonic distortion, because I know a lot of people are confused by that and want to know. So THD, total harmonic distortion, is the additive frequencies above the fundamental. So let's say we have a fundamental frequency. That's our. This is if I had a bow here and this was a string and I went, and let's say that was 1,000. Well, it'd be higher, but anyway, whatever frequency that is, and I have it. If it was a pure tone coming out, just a pure sine wave as I bow this string, that's what we would call the fundamental, the actual frequency, the tone, the note. You hit a piano, if I hit high C, that the fundamental of that is the actual frequency our ear discerns as being the frequency, okay? And in this case, we're going to call it 1,000 cycle. The harmonics are frequencies that are generated above that. Now, harmonics are essential to music. So when I hit that piano note or I bow that string, the reason it doesn't sound like a sine wave oscillator and it sounds like a string or a piano note is because of harmonics. So I don't know the exact composition of the harmonics of a note that I hit on a piano, but I can tell you that whatever that frequency, was it 440, A 440? That seems to stick in my head for some reason. So 440 hertz, if memory serves correct, is A, and that's a very common note. When I hit that on a piano, the fundamental sine wave, 440 hertz, comes out in its purest tone. The string, though, is vibrating not just at that, but it's also vibrating at higher frequencies. And those higher frequencies are what we call harmonics. So the first harmonic of 440 is what we call the second harmonic. First is not a harmonic. So the first harmonic is 880. It's a doubling of the frequency. The next harmonic is called the third harmonic, and it is whatever, the third, and then so there's the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth. Sounds like a Rufus Wainwright song. So those harmonics are generated by the vibrating string. They're contributed to by the box of the piano and all that other kind of good stuff. Okay, so harmonics are absolutely necessary and components to us being able to identify a note. But what we don't want is for our amplifiers to change what we put in. So if we take that A440 note, hit on a piano, record it perfectly, run it through our amplifier, we want to have coming out exactly what went in to the amplifier. We don't want it modified. We don't want it screwed around. We don't want more harmonics and we don't want less harmonics. Because if we do, that's called distortion. All right, how do we measure distortion? Distortion is measured by putting a pure tone, a known pure tone, one without any harmonics. And that's where I was saying our 1,000 cycle, or we can stick with 440. So if I put a 440 hertz tone, I have special equipment here in the lab that is a pure tone, that is like 0.0000 stupid numbers pure. And I know that there are no harmonics that are measurable above the fundamental. And I put that into an amplifier, and then I look at the output of the amplifier and I see if anything was added. Do we have anything that we didn't put in? Because if I do, those are added harmonics, and to the extent of the percentage of added harmonics, that's my THD, my total harmonic distortion. So if I have a total harmonic distortion of 1%, that means I have added in, and I can look and see if there's second or third or fourth or fifth or odd or even harmonics, but I've added harmonics that the amplifier manufactured by the very design. And that's what we call distortion, putting something in that's different from what we're getting out. And that's our distortion. So, back to the question. Sorry for the long-winded explanation of what harmonics are. The question is, how much does it matter? Well, generally speaking, anything below 1% is accepted as not being relevant. So, I would call that actually 0.1%. Anything below 0.1 is, you're not going to be able to hear the difference. That said, an amplifier with 0.01 distortion versus an amplifier with 0.1 distortion can sound very different. But it's not the THD that got them there. That has nothing to do with it. Why it has higher or lower distortion, that's what makes the difference in how it sounds. One maybe has more feedback, that we can hear. One has a different topology, one's full complementary, one is single-ended, one has tubes, one has solid state. And all of those manifest themselves in different orders of harmonics, and they all sound different, but not because of the harmonics. All right, that's enough babbling for today. I hope that helped a little bit to try and figure out, just to wrap your head around what all this is about and why. So thank you for the question, and we'll be going over that time and time again, because as new people come on, as people who've been watching for a while, you know, slowly but surely it'll start sinking into your head how all this works. That's my goal. Really appreciate the question. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.